let's just let everybody know that we're going to get started in just a minute, so hang on for a few more seconds. So we're ready to roll.
All right.
Okay, good morning and welcome to our weekly Facebook Live broadcast. I'm Angela.
And I'm Liz.
We're here in the studio at Stand United to bring you this week's trending stories. First up, we have got to talk about this shocking video and this now infamous image from a United Airlines flight.
This seems to be one of the most talked about issues this week, especially with another story that came out yesterday of United trying to deplane yet another passenger, this time a first-class passenger, who was threatened with handcuffs.
I just can hardly understand how it comes to blows on a commercial flight where you have things going on that are so violent like this incident. So United, just like any other carrier, is allowed to deny boarding to people if a flight is oversold. Normally they'll ask for volunteers, but you can also get what's called an involuntary bump, and that's legal. What's really wrong is that this guy was already in his seat. He had been allowed to board the plane. And that's when United decided to forcibly remove him.
Airliners all have internal rules about how to go about when a plane is overbooked, or like in the case on Sunday, there's some sort of deadheading with the crew. But all of the rules, including United's own rules, talk about denying people to board to begin with. Once a person is in their seat, it seems pretty much common board within most of the airlines, including United's own rules, that they can't force someone to leave after they've been seated because that is considered boarded.
That's exactly right, and that's not just the airline rules, that's also the FAA rules. So you're going to be hearing a lot about the FAA as the summer travel season heats up. That is the Federal Aviation Administration, and they are the people who make the rules about what is allowed to happen on board an aircraft. So can you use your cell phone? Can you use your laptop at a certain altitude or not? All of that is set up by the FAA. So Stand United right now has a petition asking the FAA to step in and say, wait, people shouldn't be physically threatened when they've boarded a plane. I mean, I think that's so basic. So let us know in the comments if you agree. We also want to talk about a little bit about this man who's now been identified as Dr. David Dow.
He was a doctor. He mainly sees patients just one day a week, which would have been Monday for him, which is why he was refusing to leave. 3 people had already begrudgingly left. And when he was picked, he calmly said that he was a doctor. There are actually accounts from other people on the thing that said there didn't seem to be commotion until they brought in the authorities. He calmly said, I can't leave, had asked for another thing, and instead of sweetening the deal by offering him more money or just seeing if there was another volunteer, they decided to physically assault him to make him leave.
Exactly. They called the cops dragged him away, he was left bloodied. There are pictures that we didn't want to show just out of sort of respect for his privacy and respect for our viewers, but if you want to see the full impact of what happened, you can. And his face was bloodied because he was hit against the armrests several times. Now when the police wrote their report, they said he fell. And a lot of people are taking issue with that because you can't really fall if you're not sitting or standing up. So, we're certainly thankful that everyday citizens were able to take their phones out and get video. That's, how we're seeing what really happened on this flight. So I think it's a really good lesson in the power of digital media and social media, because if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't know about this.
So if we can move on to the news story that just came out as well. So what happened was same kind of situation. United had some sort of technical problems with one of their planes, and so they had to swap it out for a slightly smaller one. A passenger who was a first-class passenger had paid full fare of at least $1,000 for a first-class seat out of Hawaii to LA. Was told after he had already been boarded and given his complimentary first-class drink that he needed to get off the plane immediately because a higher priority first-class passenger needed the seat. The man, same kind of thing, said, I've already been seated, and they didn't seem to care, threatened him with handcuffs. They did eventually resolve the situation by allowing him to go into a coach seat in between a fighting married couple, which does not sound fun.
Not at all. So the FAA definitely has its work cut out for it with United Airlines, because we're seeing that this is not an isolated incident. This just happened again with the Hawaii to LA flight. So Stand United has a petition right now, it's just started, asking the FAA to step in and take a look at what on earth is happening here. This really comes down to consumer rights. It's when you have bought and paid for a ticket, what is your right as a consumer? Is it your right to show up at the airport and hope that you can board? Is it your right to board the plane and be compensated if for some reason you cannot? That's where the FAA is now.
Absolutely.
But do you have the right, once you have boarded the plane, to stay on that plane? Stand United and our petitioners say that you absolutely do. We need to get the FAA to agree, and we need to get them to enforce it so that things like this don't happen again. So please check out that petition. As you see these videos and these images being shared around the web, we hope that you will share the petition too. We don't want this outrage to go away, because if it does, this stuff is just going to continue. And that's, incredibly unfair to American consumers.
Absolutely. I'm working on getting those links up for you guys right now. There'll be the links for this petition as well as our next one that we're about to talk about momentarily.
Great. So if you're watching live, hang on for just a minute. If you are catching us on a recording, we're glad you're watching. But be aware that those links will be right up in just a minute. So let's get started with our next petition. This one you might not have heard of. So what you're looking at here is the city of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. It's a fairly large metropolitan area within the state, and it's trying to use a legal loophole to declare itself a sanctuary city. So North Carolina has a state law on the books already that says no sanctuary cities. We won't let it happen here. Winston-Salem's City Council and their mayor has tried to write a law that kind of skirts just around the boundary of the state law and would essentially allow them to provide sanctuary to illegal immigrants. So we had petitioners come to us and say, we have this issue happening. We want to make sure that this does not pass City Council. Becoming a sanctuary city is illegal, and even if it wasn't, it would just be wrong for our community. How can you help? And we said, well, great, okay. So we work on sanctuary city issues a lot. You've probably seen a handful of different petitions on that topic on the site. And we have now, they have set up a petition that hundreds of people have signed, telling
200 people actually.
That's a lot, and counting. They were just growing this morning, so we expect it to grow throughout the day. We hope you all will sign, whether you live in Winston-Salem or not. And this petition says, this is illegal, this is wrong, don't let it pass City Council. Now, they met on this back in March, and the City Council punted. They said, this is too volatile, we're not going to handle this right now, we're going to kick it to April. So they conveniently kicked it to Easter Monday, so in less than a week from now. So you've got until the end of this week to sign the petition to keep Winston-Salem as a city that enforces not only the state law, but federal law as well.
So we've talked about the sanctuary cities and what that title means in general. When it comes to immigration, when something has the term sanctuary in front of it, and there's actually a lot of different things that can be considered sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
You have sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, like Maryland is now trying to become the first sanctuary state.
After what happened in Rockville, though, that's extremely contentious. We hope that if you haven't signed that petition already, that you will, to keep criminals out of schools.
We have sanctuary campuses, which we've talked about, colleges. There's also different businesses and industries that consider themselves sanctuary safe havens. And simply what that means is when someone gets in trouble with the law, you are required by federal law to check their immigration status, and if they are illegal, report them to the federal authorities. Any place that is labeled as sanctuary doesn't do that for whatever reason, and it leads to a lot of illegal immigrants coming into our own country and breaking our laws and getting away with it when they should be deported after the first time they're caught.
Absolutely, and we had a horrific example just this morning of what the consequences can be of a sanctuary policy. The story out of Fairfax, Virginia, was, I believe, a daycare employee who was found to have, sexually abused one of the young children in his care. This is a person who was here illegally. He had been deported before. He had a rap sheet, and yet he was not only living in America, he was working in a daycare. I mean, that story is just, it's so chilling, and it shows you that the risk that places run by declaring themselves sanctuaries. I'm not saying that you have to automatically kick everybody out if they've got, a speeding ticket, a parking ticket, whatever, but it's worth it to check their background. And that's really the very same theme from the Montgomery County petition. If the school knew that those two men had outstanding warrants to appear in court, maybe that, tragic assault would not have happened to a 14-year-old high school freshman.
Absolutely. This is a very contentious topic that we talk a lot about on Stand United. Definitely something that you all are very vocal about whenever we post about them on social media. So definitely check out our petitions. We have the link for the Winston-Salem one up right now, but if you go to our website, you'll see a lot of other ones on that topic as well.
Definitely, and if you're ever looking for more information, more context on these cases, we hope you do. We hope that you will go to newsstand.standunited.org and check it out. We have a whole site set up there with articles. You can even sign petitions directly from the site. But if you're ever trying to explain one of these issues to a friend or family member, or looking for something to share on Facebook, Newsstand is a great resource for that.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next week.
Have a good weekend. Oh, guess it's only Wednesday.
Close enough. It's hump day.